Ooh, ooh, ooh. You can sing along if you want. Ooh, 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 ooh. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, and the dreams that you dream of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, oh, someday I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Oh, me, where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney tops is where, oh, you'll find me somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dare to, oh why can't I see trees of green and red roses too. I'll watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the brightness of day, and God bless the night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, the colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, oh, I love you. Oh, I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we can ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind. Oh, me, where trouble melts like lemon drops. High above the chimney tops is where, oh, you'll find me somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dare to, why, oh why can't I
That was a lovely way to get us started. Thank you. Welcome. On behalf of the folks of First Congregational Church of Riverside, we are happy that each and every one of you is here. And we are also streaming, and so we welcome those who are watching us online and will join us and partake of this time together at a future time. We're all here, of course, because Mary was completely unique. And one of the most wonderful things about her was that she made friends and she kept friends. And this gathering of folks reflects that reality. So once again, thank you so much for coming and welcome. Just a couple things about our space here. We invite you sincerely to join us after this service. We have a lovely reception. It is just across the entryway and on the right, and there's a great big display of Mary's life in pictures and documents, and you will want to see that. So please join us. Just a little further down that hall is the women's restroom, and over on this side of the building in this entryway is the men's restroom, and the non-gendered and accessible restroom is just off of our reception space that we call the Madonna Room. So make yourself comfortable, relax. Even though this is a memorial service, it's fine to laugh because I'm sure some of the things we will be sharing will be those kind of memories. So we're sad, of course, with our loss, but we rejoice in Mary's life and we treasure those memories. So thank you for being with us today, and let us proceed with our opening prayer. Thank you, Jeannie.
Good morning. My name is Jeannie Shank Halverson. Mary and I met at the start of our 10th grade year. She had just transferred into Linwood High from her hometown in LaGrange, Illinois. With that, Mary went from being a bouncy cheerleader who did her back-to-school shopping at Marshall Fields on State Street in Chicago to being an anonymous sophomore doing her Christmas shopping at Pick and Save on Compton Avenue. Mary made the best at being stuck in our little town by buckling down to her MCL classes, more capable learner, and rushing off to her after-school job at the corner dry cleaners. On Sunday, Mary joined me and others here in the room for Luther League at St. Paul's. Many years later, I traveled with Mary on a sentimental journey back to the tiny, rural Roman Catholic church where she was baptized. Not long after her baptism, Mary's mother was interred in the graveyard at that same church. On the same trip, we worshiped at the American Baptist Church that Mary and her father attended in LaGrange. In adult life, we separately discovered the United Church of Christ. For Mary, that was this church right here, the First Congregational Church of Riverside. Mary found this church to be life-giving. It struck her as only logical that a church that claimed to be Christian should therefore be extravagantly welcoming to all, regardless of education, race, color, sexual orientation, or even creed. Sanctuary was within these walls. But God was also in the sunsets of Port Townsend, the blue spruce near the shore of the campgrounds at June Lake, any Irish pub or Mexican grill. God could also be found in a ratty high school office in downtown Coachella. For Mary, God was where there was beauty, or people, or dogs. The Christian denominations that figured in Mary's life, each in the course of their worship service, include one prayer that's meaningful to all. Some of the words and phrases differ slightly, but please join me in saying it now. Pray with the words that are most comfortable for you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
And if you will locate the chalice hymnal in front of you, we are singing number 635, verses 1 and 3.
The first reading is from Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 9. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up to the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." And the second reading is from Micah chapter 6, verse 8. "He has told you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God."
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone, and all the lee roses falling. It's you must go, and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But when ye come and all the flowers are dying, if I'm dead, as well I'm just maybe, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me. And you tread above me, and all my grave will warm and sweeter be. For you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I shall sleep in peace until you come to me.
Good morning. So, in preparing for this celebration of Mary's life, I kept thinking of another service that Mary and I attended many years ago. We attended a service for a mutual friend who had passed away. A very sad occasion. And as we sat in the pews mourning the loss of our dear friend, we were quite suddenly struck when he walked down the aisle. Mary and I looked at each other. What? Wrong friend, wrong service. Atypical. So we tried to contain it. We put our hands over our mouth, over our faces. Finally, Mary said, "No, that's it, we're leaving." Walked out looking like we were just heaving in tears. Actually, we were laughing to death. And so I guess the moral of the story, as Audrey said, if you find yourself laughing today over something you remember about Mary, some antic, don't leave, stay. Mary would approve. So as I was going through Mary's boxes and boxes and photos and scrapbooks and all of her memorabilia she kept through the years, I found this, and I'd like to share it with you. Mary Kathleen Fowlie, Quarterly Report of Pupil Progress, LaGrange, Illinois, Cosset Elementary School, July 15th, 1956, grade 2. Her teacher wrote this comment: "Mary is a very happy child and one that is a pleasure to have around. She's always there to help when necessary. She aims to please and does everything in her power to please me and the entire class. She enjoys her work very much and is always eager to do her best. She reads all the time and enjoys every minute of it. She enjoys her friends, and her friends love Mary. A grand child to have around. Mrs. Ann LeBrace, 2nd grade." So, some people never change. I'm sure she was a grand child to have around because she was a grand friend to have around, as all of you know. She is a grand friend, my very best friend and companion always. And it's ironic to stand on this chancel and speak of Mary and the friendship we had, because if life runs in circles, and Mary and I certainly have come in that circle, because it was on these steps 35 years ago that we became members of First Congregational Church and first met. I'm still not sure how that friendship bloomed the way it did. We spent the entire new member reception talking, and we just never stopped. Well, not quite true. As some of you know, we had some vacations, as we called them. But those were small bumps on our journey. And I like to think of us as sort of a pair of mittens, a right hand, a left hand, a good fit, a perfect match. But in my case, not that great without the other one. I say Mary was my best friend ever and always, and she was more. She was that constant in my life. She was that laugh I needed when I was down. She was the advice I often needed, the encouraging hand on my shoulders, sometimes even the kick in my pants when I deserved it. Our 35 years was a non-stop run of I Love Lucy, and you know who Lucy was. Poor Ethel, and I'm not without guilt, but it seems like we got into more than our share of madcap adventures. And it's a shame that I don't have the time here to tell you all the details of the time we lost our rental car at the parking garage in Seattle. Or when we lost the car on the streets of Long Beach. We were losing our car quite a bit. We also missed a few vacation flights because we were having a beer at the airport bar. But I totally blame that on Mary because she was a much more thirsty person than myself. Of course, there was the near bar brawl we caused over a game of pool at the Country Western Bar in San Francisco. Mary would not give up her pool table. And the standoff at Fairmount Park when Mary stole someone's parking spot. She could be very feisty, we know this. There was a night we spent skulking around Running Springs looking for empty dumpsters after cleaning out the basement of my cabin. And the ever memorable night we spent sleeping on beach chairs at the resort in Lahaina after being stranded by jungle fires. I think the staff there was much less impressed by Mary's resourcefulness than I was. But all of these were great adventures, and I love them all. In going through her files, I found her Cooter Preferences Assessment for middle school. She kept everything. This is an aptitude and skills survey, and her highest score in this survey of her skills, almost perfect. Can you guess? Any guesses? You all know Mary. Verbal persuasion. Yes, it's obvious, as if we didn't know, Mary could be very persuasive. And I could be very persuaded. Mary had an opinion about everything, and she wasn't afraid to share it. Even if you did not want it, she would share it. Except most of the time, she was right. And I should have learned that lesson a long time ago. My last 2 cars, Mary picked them out for me. After breaking my neck in a car accident many years ago, I woke up after a month of being in a fog. I looked out my window. There was my red convertible with a black top. My car was there. I felt for the neck brace. I thought, was I imagining all this for a whole month? I can't believe this car is in my driveway. So the first thing I did was call Mary. I said, Mary, there's a car just like mine in the driveway. It's yours, she said. I don't remember buying it. I don't remember test driving it. Did I like it? She said, of course you didn't test drove it. I test drove it. She said, I drove it. I liked it. You bought it. Oh, okay. Well, that makes perfect sense, I guess. The next car, she insisted that she go with me. And I told her, I said, Mary, I'm quite capable of buying a car for myself. She said, yes, but I want to make sure that my luggage and my walker fit in the back. So it went that way for most of our relationship. Lots of adventures, lots of fun, lots of trouble, lots of love. Mary's last week was difficult due to her chemotherapy. It was also her birthday week. So 2 weeks before her birthday, I opened up my phone and found a text message. Congratulations on the confirmation of your reservations at Orange Hill Restaurant. I thought, oh, is this a scam? I didn't make reservations. And then underneath was a text that said, thank you, Keithy. Love, Mary. She was the only one that could add a Y to the end of my name and make it sound good. So Mary has settled dinner reservations. That's good. So in the next week, she informed me that I would be taking her to the symphony luncheon on Thursday, birthday dinner on Friday, Shakespeare by the Sea on Saturday, and of course our weekly dinner on Sunday. And I guess I said something like, well, maybe some of your other fans would enjoy sharing in the joy. Silence. Wrong thing to say. Dead silence. I knew I was in trouble. The next morning, she called me at 8 in the morning as usual. First thing she said was, what do you mean by that remark yesterday? I just mean some of your other friends would like to do these things with you. She said, you are the one I do things with. And if it wasn't for Mary's persuasive ways, despite my kicking and screaming, I would have missed a lot in life. But I'm always grateful and appreciative that she chose me to be in so many of those adventures. After Mary passed, people would say to me, oh, Keith, you did so much for her. But the truth is, Mary did so much for me. She did so much for everyone. She was strong, determined, adventuresome, very independent, and fierce for her friends, for the causes of animals and social justice. But she was also kind and giving, encouraging, thoughtful, and gentle in spirit, most of the time, when she wasn't being fierce. When I broke my neck, Mary took very good care of me. That is until the very next month when she fell and broke both her arms. But, true to Mary, she coordinated our visits to Kaiser so we could go together. And Sandy McNeil drove us both there. I in my neck brace and Mary in her arms frozen in position. So we walked down the halls of Kaiser, looking very terrible, deranged. A man met us in the hall. He took one look. Mary, myself. And he said, who won that fight? We laughed till we cried. But that was Mary we saw in action. Truth be told, there is another side of Mary. A Mary who needed to be loved, who needed her friends and her family around her to feel safe and secure. And I need to share with you just a little bit of where this Mary came from. The little girl from the rural town of LaGrange Park outside Chicago, the big city she loved so much, lost her mother at age 4. She was raised by a loving but sometimes absent father who nevertheless she adored. Her brothers were both 20 years older than her, out of the picture, gone on with life. Mary was raised by a nanny, but she learned at a very young age how to take care of herself. She had accounts at restaurants, at shops, at stores, and this is probably why Mary was so skilled today at shopping. She could order anything she wanted, just charge it to Daddy. Fortunately, she developed a close relationship with her older brother, Jack. Now, I found a school photo from elementary school that she sent to Jack. On the back of it, it read, I love you, Jack. Please always take care of me. And like a good older brother, he always did. And as Mary would always say, maybe some of you know, thank you, Jack. One thing that Mary really never healed from was not having the mother she always wanted. I'm sure this is what drove her to make family, develop deep friendships that lasted decades, and to hold on to them, cherish them, and to nurture them. Now, Mary collected a lot of art, so much that she eventually had to replace some on her walls. Many pieces went to that storage area in the garage, or the infamous annex, as she called it, which of course none of us ever wanted to go to. But there was one that she made me take. She was adamant that I take care of this, hang it in my house, and she checked on it frequently. And I think this speaks from the depth of her soul. For her, this was a portrait of a mother and a daughter, a piece of her life that she deeply longed for but never had. I think it explains why over the years she cherished her relationships with women like Carol Addis, Jackie Lerner, and Nita Fages, all the mothers she never had. Explains why the whole Fages family became her family, the family that seems so absent in her life. And I think it explains why she held her friends so very close, and exactly why we're here today. It explains a little bit of Mary that she kept guarded. I think Mrs. LeBrace from second grade said it all. She enjoys her friends, and her friends love Mary. A dear friend sent me this letter after Mary passed, and in our shared sorrows and joys, I want to share it with you. It's a quote from Khalil Gibran, the writer and poet. When you are in sorrow, look again into your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your greatest delight. Mary has truly been my greatest delight, and I know of delight to all of us. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Craig Lambden. Keith took the first part of my speech, which I'm sure all of you are grateful. So I'm going to pick it up right in the middle. Mary's last 2 years were difficult for her. Mary was a complicated person, and her health situation was complicated. Most people have one problem, but Mary had many. She had chronic diabetes. She had both shoulders were not useless, but almost. She had serious heart disease, and then kind of like as a kicker in the end, developed breast cancer. Any one of these conditions would have overwhelmed any of us. But kind of true to form, Mary was a prolific traveler, loved to travel, loved to plan to travel, I think more than actually travel, but loved to travel. And she perfected later in life what I would call ER tourism. Now, you all heard of ecotourism, where you do a journey where environmentally sound, and maybe you backpack out some garbage or plastic from some lake or something. Well, Mary did ER tourism. Every city she went to the ER room. And many of you went to the ER room with her. So fast forward to the last few days of her life. It was a Sunday, I recall. Mary had called the ambulance and, in a way, taken herself to the hospital, and her good friends Keith and Sandy met her there. And Keith was in chit-chatting to Mary, who had become comfortable, and Sandy was on the phone with me. I'm back in Arkansas. And then all of a sudden, these beepers and buzzers go off, and Keith is ushered out of the room, and Mary's crashing. And so the doctors and the nurses and the medical personnel, work on her. And Sandy and Keith are outside the medical room. And the doctor comes out and says, I need to talk to the power of attorney. We need to know, what Mary's wishes are. Well, we all have these advance directives, right? You probably do. We thought it through, and Mary and I talked it through, and Mary, Keith, and Sandy, and talked it through. Well, talking it through isn't the same. So the three of us talked. We didn't want Mary to be in pain any longer, but we knew Mary bounced back. She did ER tourism, and she came out better. In fact, the last one, she was in Monterey Peninsula. I think some of you were there with her. And she loved that hospital. Right on the peninsula, she couldn't have gotten a hotel room any better. But she had to leave because Kaiser was going to transfer her, so that was it. So, Mary knew how to pull through things. She'd been in an induced coma for 7 days, like 5-8 years before. She pulled through that. And so the three of us are thinking what to do, and we decide, let's put her on the respirator, let's see how she does. She gets transferred to ICU. I get off the phone with Sandy and start making plane ticket plans. And the next day comes. I'm traveling to California, layover in Denver, crowded terminal, and Sandy and Keith call me. The medical team wants to know if we want to maintain Mary on this life support method. Well, here we go again. Let's ask the questions, consider the alternatives. And when I'm talking chemotherapy, God, the chemo, that did her in, or, Anyway, I realize I'm yelling in my phone at this crowded terminal, and I look around, and these little kids, it's like their mothers have their hands over their ears, like I'm torturing them with these discussions of end of life realities or something. And of course, just like I do with my wife, and she says, "You're talking too loud on your cell phone." I'm not. Get away. And then I just turn my back on the kids. I figure if I turn my back, they don't exist, right? So anyway, we decide we will leave her as she is and wait until I can get there later this evening at the hospital. So that's what we do. And I arrive about 8 o'clock that night at the hospital, and there are Keith and Sandy. And I come walking in, I feel like I'm a general off the helicopter, ducking low, and the medical team's there waiting for my decision of charge, retreat, stay the course. Well, as Keith's discussion with you before this Mary was about her friends, and she started young in life creating a network of friends that would be her surrogate family, because she knew none of her family would outlive her. And that's what she did. And at the end, it was her friends who made these decisions. And Mary passed away in peace and without pain. And I just want to thank all her friends, Keith and Sandy, Dahlia, and all her other friends who have spent so much time in ER rooms with Mary and on the phone, emails, whatever, having recipes exchanged or whatever. God knows, I went through a ton of recipes after her house. But anyway, it was her network of friends who made the important decisions that only family would do. So thank you, family.
And now we will sing once again from the hymnal, number 33, How Great Thou Art, verses 1 and 2.
Hello, my name is Allison Gogenauer, and I'd like to say just a few words about our friend Mary prior to my reading. I first met Mary Fowlie in September of 1966. It was Reg Week at UCR, and I was on my way to a dance in the dorms. I ran into a friend from my high school who introduced me to a nice young lady, Mary. She was a freshman, I was a sophomore. Mary approached me about a week later in the cafeteria and told me that my friend Wayne had asked her out and then stood her up. I was greatly embarrassed for having known Wayne the jerk, but every time I saw Mary thereafter, I tried to be extra friendly to make up for Wayne's bad behavior. We began to enjoy each other's company, and we soon became fast friends. We found that we had a great deal in common, starting with the fact that my first name was really Mary, and I said I was Mary first, but she could be Mary longer. We were both born at the end of June, 1 year apart, and we loved being astrologically connected as crabs. Both of us lost our mother at the age of 4. And although her father often threatened to send her to a Catholic boarding school, my father did, I was grateful to be able to inform her that she qualified for Social Security benefits that also enhanced her financial situation. She was such a special friend to my husband, Tom, and I, that we asked her to be our son Peter's godmother. She was devoted in this role and took her duties and responsibilities most seriously. When Peter was a freshman at UCR, she would take him out to dinner every Thursday just to stay in touch with him in loco parentis. Over the years, Mary and I shared many recipes, lipstick colors, pink for her, and a deep and abiding love of dogs. And she always loved my dogs. Mary was a true and loving friend to us. If you noticed the picture out when you came in, it was taken at my 50th birthday party. She came to stay with us, but spent the entire party organizing my kitchen entrees and clearing the dishes, and I hadn't even asked her to do it. You can't see in that picture that she's holding a beer and she has bare feet. She was relaxing after having contributed to my day of happiness. I've chosen a few readings today which might reflect how Mary saw the world. They've always been inspiring to me, and I think she would agree. The first deals with our humanity and the fact that anyone's passing should be important to us. No Man is an Island by John Donne. No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of your friends or of thy own were. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. The next two quotes were written by two very special spiritual humanitarians, and their thoughts could have easily been interchangeable. Do your little bit of good wherever you are. It's those little bits of good put together that can overwhelm the world. Desmond Tutu. My faith demands that I do whatever I can, wherever I am, whenever I can, for as long as I can, with whatever I have, to try and make a difference. Jimmy Carter. God love and keep you, Mary Kathleen Fowlie.
don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, to a place where we'll be safe.
La luce che tu
I
dai
pray we'll find the
nel
light
cuore resterà.
and hold it in our
A
hearts.
ricordarci che
When stars go out each
nel
night,
mia stella sei, nella mia preghiera,
let this be our prayer.
quanta fede
Shadows fill our
c'è.
day.
Lead us to a place,
Guide us with your grace.
give us faith so we'll be saved. Sogniamo un mondo senza più violenza, un mondo di giustizia, di speranza. Ognuno dia, ma non so vicino, simbolo di pace, di fraternità. La forza che ci dai
Ask that life be kind
è il desiderio
and
che
watch us from above.
ognuno trovi
We hope
amore
each one will find
intorno dentro sé. Let this be our prayer,
our prayer.
just like every child.
Just like every
Need to find a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be safe. E la fede che c'è sogno, sento che ci salverà.
Hi, I'm Sue Boyles. I lived in Riverside up until 2 years ago, and I used to be a member of this church. I met Mary about 11 years ago at a women's retreat. Shortly after it, one of the group had the idea to get together to watch the Oscars or some other award show, and Mary, along with a few other people, came over to our house. Well, we immediately bonded over a love of movies and cooking, and my husband Terry and she bonded over a love of beer. And that was the beginning of our friendship. The thing that first hit me about Mary was that She was fun. She came along at a time in my life when I'd say it was a little out of balance, way too much work, and not enough fun. Mary told me about all the things she used to do: racquetball, skiing, riding her bike, golfing, all her travels, and I thought, I want to be more like that. And even though she wasn't as active in the years that I knew her, she still kept going. Her knees gave out, so she got new ones. She still couldn't get around well, so she got a scooter. I mean, she was so determined last summer to come see our new home near Grass Valley that she hired her comfort keeper, Delia, to drive her up in her car so that she would be able to have her buggy with her. And I also admired how she and Delia had so much more than an employer-employee relationship. Mary loved to travel, and she was so excited to take Delia on a trip north and show her some of the places that she loved. But that was Mary. She made family everywhere. She missed not having any biological family members left, so she just made her friends her family. Soon after we met her, she became a member of our family, coming to parties at our house, continuing to get together to watch award shows, attending holiday dinners, going out to restaurants, and of course, breweries. And besides ours, she had many other friend circles that were like family. The Fages family, who used to live next door, who adopted her, the Wild Wet Women water aerobics group, her friends at Osher, her Politicos group, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of others. When we decided to move north, we knew it would be hard to leave Mary, but we took solace in the fact that she had so many really good friends. And even though we weren't 10 minutes away anymore, we kept in touch like many people did during the pandemic by Zoom. Mary, Terry, Deanne, and I started a weekly Zoom that we called BHH, Besties Happy Hour, that we continued every Friday right up until the end. Sometimes she might have gotten really frustrated by the technology, or she might not have felt that well, but she always put on a happy face. I know she really missed us being in Riverside and initially did not want us to move, but I did appreciate her saying last year that she thought we did the right thing, and she sent me a plaque that said, "Good friends are like angels. You don't have to see them to know they are there." So now, Mary, I guess you're our angel. We don't have to see you to know you are here.
Good morning. My name is Sandy Schnock, and I want to share a few things about Mary as well. Mary and I both worked for the Riverside County Office of Education for about 3 decades. And for much of that time, a part of my job was to supervise Mary. Notice I did not say I actually supervised Mary. I just said that was part of my job. As some of you know, Mary was not easy to supervise. We had lots of people register complaints about Mary, and my job often was to smooth the rumpled feathers of everyone involved. I'm pretty sure that for some time, I was not one of Mary's favorite people. After she and I were both retired, I called her when I was interested in becoming more involved in the community. Mary knew everyone and every agency in the community. So soon after our discussion, I became a board member for MFI, a wonderful not-for-profit agency which focuses on assistance to those with addiction issues. It was while serving on the MFI board that I really became much better acquainted with Mary and saw some of the things in Mary that Susan Stark had always seen. At our COE, Mary's staff resisted her at times, but Mary was not a fan of mediocrity, and even less a fan of sloppy work, missed deadlines, a lack of interest in the job at hand, and worst was to seemingly not be completely committed to programs for kids. And what Mary lacked in tact, though, she made up for in passion. Mary was passionate about helping kids through the programs she supervised. In fact, she was passionate about many things: education for kids and adults, her church, people who needed another chance, justice, and of course, her many friends. Oh, and having fun. Mary was as passionate about living life to the fullest as she was about justice. Mary thought it was not just nice to have a good time, she believed it was the responsibility of each and every one of us to enjoy life to the fullest every single day of our lives. It was only 7 days before Mary passed away that she had a stack of brochures on her coffee table about Shakespeare by the Sea, the Shakespeare Festival in San Pedro, and she asked me if I had been. When I responded that I had not, she was in disbelief, told me to take the pamphlets to my friends and to be certain that I attended. So let's remember Mary's zest for life and her determination to live every day to its fullest. I thought of Mary the other day when I saw this quote: "You only live life once, but if you do it right, once is enough."
Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven at home? When Jesus is my portion, my constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. Yes, His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. And I sing because I'm happy, and
My name is Rob McMurray, and I was a friend of Mary, and I'm so honored to have been her friend. I remember the first time I met her. I had heard about her for years. I mean, like, must have been 10 years or more. She was retiring, and she called or sent me a note or something and said, "You have to come to my retirement." I thought, I don't really know you, but okay. So I went, and there she was in Keith Townsend's backyard, garden party, queen of the day. She was everything I'd heard, and probably more. And then I remember the last time I saw her. She called me at like 2:30 in the morning. It was maybe 3 days before she went into the hospital. And she said, "Rob, I think I've worn out everybody else. Can you come? I need help." Didn't even ask what was wrong. I got in the car and drove over. The oxygen tank she was on had shut off. So we got that working again. And then I sat and talked to her for a long time. And she was in the process of making decisions at that point. And she told me that she had decided to go off the chemo because it was making her so sick and she didn't want to live that way. And I thought, okay, I totally understand it, Mary. That's not the way you want to live. When I would, toward the last couple years, on Monday nights, sometimes Tuesday, I'd go over and sit with her and we'd watch TV. We'd eat either a Popeye's crispy chicken sandwich, which I said, "You know, Mary, this isn't really good for you, and it's not good for me." She didn't care. She wanted to eat it. And I said, okay, so we ate it. Then the next week, she'd have something else planned for dinner, and she'd want me to cook it. And I've gotten to where I don't like to cook. But so then she started getting the caretakers to lay everything out and have it ready when I got there. One of the most important lessons I've learned in life from Mary is how to mix a drink. I had no concept of how to mix a drink. She taught me. You do like this on the cup, Rob. You get the cup, the glass. You take it and you do 2 fingers of gin, 2 fingers of tequila, or whatever. See, I don't even remember the recipes, but you go by fingers. And so I'd make them, and she'd always say, no matter how terrible they were, she liked them. So we'd have a drink, and in those, we were drinking, we'd have a drink, and then we'd have our dinner and watch TV, like I said before. And I knew all her TV shows that she liked. And she'd ask me, well, do you watch CSI? No, I've never seen it. Well, over 2 years, I think I've seen every episode. Chicago, Wednesday night, the Chicago shows. All 3 of them she had to watch. And then she'd ask me, did you watch? No, I'm from Detroit, sweetie. Mary was special, and like I've heard people say here many times, she was a fierce advocate for anyone she felt needed help. And that included me. Even if I didn't think I needed help, she'd find a solution for my problem, whatever I had talked to her about. I remember one time I just mentioned that I wanted a yellow and gray coverlet for my bed. I hadn't found one. The next time I went to see her, she'd found one and said, you need to buy this. Well, I didn't, but she didn't say a word after that. And she loved dogs. I'd take my dog over and they'd all get together and play. And if I didn't bring him, she'd get so upset. And I said, well, I didn't think he was appropriate tonight. He's never not appropriate. Bring him. When I was walking up here, another life lesson from Mary, I'm having some challenges with steps and so forth, and I thought, Purple, what would Mary do? She'd walk up those damn steps, and she wouldn't think about it twice, and she'd do it. And like all these trips that she did, I so admire her. She didn't miss much. She had so much fun. And then she'd look at me and say, Robbie, what are you doing with your life? You need to go out and have fun. Why don't you come with me on this and that? Oh no, I have to do this. I have to take care of that. If I learned anything from Mary, it's that life is to be lived. And to be quite honest, I can't imagine a world without Mary in it. But I still talk to her, and she answers. I don't always like the answers, but she answers. And Mary, I'm going to miss you, but I know you're always here with me. Thank you, Mary.
I thought, what the heck am I going to say? And nothing was coming. And yet I wanted to say something. Mary was one of the biggest pains in the neck I've ever come across as a friend. She was also one of the sweetest and one of the most empathetic, one of the most caring and generous. And then she'd be a pain in the neck again. It was like back and forth, back and forth. You couldn't help but love her, and you couldn't help but want the best for her. And that's all I need to say.
Mary was, I'm Terry Boyles. Mary was proud of her Irish heritage, and I was proud of my Irish heritage until I found out I wasn't Irish. But the song we're going to sing is a classic song that would be sung in an Irish wake, and it's sung from the perspective of the departed, the guy in the box. And Mary, I don't really believe in the supernatural particularly, but on that Sunday night when she passed on, we had this beautiful view off our deck up in Grass Valley. And there's this magnificent willow that sits behind the pond. And it's this wonderful feature. And you look at that and feel, serenity. Well, the night that Mary passed on, we got up in the morning, and a branch that hung over the water, that really was half the tree, had broken off and fallen into the pond. Now, every time we look out at our pond, we can't help but think about Mary. And man, it's like, yes, it is spooky. And I can see why people believe in ghosts, because, she's sitting right here with us. So I'm going to sing this wonderful old song. Anyways, if you know the refrain, sing along. Of all the money that e'er I had, I've spent it in good company, and all the harm that e'er I did, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me a parting glass, and good night and joy be with you all. Sing the next verse.
If I had money enough to spend, and leisure to sit a while, and there's a fair one in the town that sorely has my heart beguiled. Her rosy cheeks, ruby lips I own as mine, my heart enthralled, so fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be to you all.
Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call good night and joy be with you all.
Thank you all so much. And once again, I encourage you to stay for our reception. It's a little cooler in that room. We have the community's best caterer, and Mary would want you to party. So please do join us just across the entryway and to the right. And following the next song, we will adjourn to the reception. And because the Irish tradition was very important to Mary, these will be our words of blessing today. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of God's hand. Amen.
I worked with Mary on the Dickens teas that we had here. And she'd crack the whip and I'd dodge it, and she'd crack it and I'd dodge it. And once in a while I'd get a little scratch, and once in a while I'd knock it out of her hand. And we ended up being a pretty good team, getting it all coordinated and put up the way we wanted it to go. And this was her favorite song. And you have to help. If you don't, she'll come for you. She came for me once and it wasn't pretty. So, what's going to happen is whenever you hear the phrase stiff upper lip, you just repeat it, stiff upper lip. I didn't say yet. Now we're going to do it. Stiff upper lip. Stiff upper lip. Well, that was okay, but Mary's probably going like that. Stiff upper lip. There we go. And that was her attitude, too. So, this is her song from the Dickens Teas, Stiff Upper Lip. Throughout the ages, man and womankind have trod life's road. Through storms and plagues, cross battlegrounds, backs bent beneath life's load. When the point is reached, when all is lost, and the skies are cold and gray, these simple words of wisdom are what the British have to say. You ready? Stiff upper lip. When what's against you won't give way, stiff upper lip. You'll live to fight another day. When life is hard and times are tough, when you think you've had enough, here's a tip, be a pip, stiff upper lip. Well done.
When trouble seems to block each step down a path that turns and twists, when enemies lurk near with gnashing teeth and clenching fists, whene'er they pounce let your panic show. Stiff up a lip.
When once against you won't give way, stiff up a lip. You'll live to fight another day when life is hard and times are tough. When you think you've had enough, here's a tip.
Don't let it slip.
Stiff up a lip. When enemy, no. Whoa, I have to start this third verse over again, please. When the battle's all uphill and it's a losing one at that. When enemies lurk near with whoa, whoa,
Each forward step
demands a price, a costly tit for tat. Be strong, be brave, be resolute, for the battle can be won. Remember, once it's started, it's not over till it's done. Stiff up a lip. When once against you won't give way, stiff up a lip. You'll live to fight another day when life is hard and times are tough. When you think you've had enough, here's a tip. Don't jump ship. Stiff up a lip. If by chance the battle's only been inside your head, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. At least you tried instead of giving up or giving out or giving in to fear. One simply does what one must do for pity's sake, my dear. Stiff up her lip. When once against you won't give way, stiff up a lip. You'll live to fight another day when life is hard and times are tough. When you think you've had enough, here's a tip.
Tighten your grip.
Don't let it slip.
Don't jump ship.
Here's a tip. Be a pip. Stiff up her lip. To the other room. Yeah, get up, go. It's okay.
I'm thirsty.